Okay, so this is part two. I do want to say that we still have the same locks. Somebody is almost always home. We have the same locks, which means there are other people who have keys to here. I am not trying to imply that somebody in the house is taking information. So I went and got some other information, and I watched the first 20 minutes. I titled it Family Fraud Part 1. And this is all going to be splotchy because I really don't have the information. I'm at the energy to try to get up and try to make it all polished and stuff like that. I've been under a lot of pressure. Even if a person is just trying to make you think they're trying to kill you, it takes a lot of extra energy to constantly be second guessing yourself and to be backtracking, making sure you lock the door. Okay, every time you lock the door to go out and do any little small task, somebody has to get up and open the door. When you see a car pass you, you're looking, trying to remember the description of everything. And then when you see the car pass again, you're wondering why it passed again. If it's sitting at a stop sign, you're wondering why it's sitting at a stop sign. Last week, I was on my bike and I was coming back from a pantry. And I saw the car the entire trip up Hannah. It was a white Honda. And I know a particular person that loves Hondas. I couldn't tell whether that was her or not. And then I couldn't tell what kind of state of mind the person was in. So as I saw them pass me and turn down 32nd and park in the church field, I stopped and waited, right? I'm waiting and looking because I'm not going to go down that same street and then they run me over with the car or, shoot me 5 times and then take off and go the other way. So because the tarot readers are like, oh, somebody's trying to kill you, whether true or false, whether they tried to kill me with black magic, whether they hired a hitman that's also my baby daddy, all this stuff sounds crazy. But once you hear it and put it into your psyche, it changes you a little bit, right? So even though I'm still going out into life, I don't go out the same way. If it were not for me thinking somebody was trying to harm me, and I'm not talking about from words, I'm talking about when I'm riding my bike in dark morning trying to get to Emily and I see a car speed up and turn the corner and try to speed around and come back to where I am, and I see that car 3 times in one trip, it makes me think if this person is trying to mess with my mind or are they really trying to harm me? Whether that's maim me so I can get a disability check and my children can get a disability check, whether it's so they can kill me and collect an insurance policy or accident insurance. You understand what I'm saying? Whatever the case is, I'm trying not to be victim and or prey to that. So I was sitting here, not leaving the house, in fear, not even working, and my bills started piling up. So I've been leaning on Metropolitan Ministries quite a bit. They paid an $86 light bill and $216 water bill. I was really thankful for that. At that time, I was begging Natalia to pay the $80 that was outstanding. Also, there was 2 sets of $80 bills, right? And they should have been lumped together under the final notice, but they weren't. So they would only pay what was under the final notice, and I was begging her, please pay them both because I'm behind in bills. And then I got new bills coming in on top of it, and I'm still feeling fearful. Without a car, trying to get to the port of Tampa, a bus will take me as far as the McDonald's. And after that, I have to ride all the way down into that little dark corridor to get to the port of Tampa or get an Uber. And when you're making $70, $75 a day, you're not too excited about paying an Uber to get there. If I work the 7 to 3 shift in the morning, trying to get there at 7 a.m., I got to ride in the dark. If I work 3 to 11, I've got to leave there at 11 o'clock and try to catch that last bus out to get closer to my house, or I got to ride the whole way. The more I'm out in the world being exposed, it increases my danger and my chances of getting hurt, right? And the third shift, if I work third shift, I might fall asleep. If there's a downtime and there's no active work and I sit down, I might sleep. If I sleep, they might take a picture of me and tell me do not return. So I try my best not to ever work third shift. If I work third shift, I need Monster, I need Rockstar, I need coffee, and the caffeine is really hard on my body afterwards. So I try not to work third shift. But if I can get there at 11 o'clock in safety, I still got to go in the dark, even though I'm going to get off at 7 and it's going to be daylight, right? So that's a lot to have to explain. So I've been waiting on money from my grandmother, Irene, who died, thinking, I know my grandmama left me some cash, so when am I going to get it? Again, according to the tarot readers, somebody in my family, some doppelganger, has pretended to be me, and they done already spent that money, right? When Lawrence died, I thought for sure he would have left me money because we had great plans. He was going to help me get the girls into boarding school for a year, and we were going to go back and forth to China and work on this ministry idea that he had planned, and I was going to be working on my school resource center thrift store combination and a couple of other things, but I don't want to say it on camera because I want to be the person to get it out there, right? So that was the major thing that we were going to do. I was writing a book of his life because I thought he was a pretty phenomenal person. To be 8 years old working in a bakery and going to work with your dad because you don't really like school and you're trying to skip school, right? So you go to work with your dad and then you start being underneath the owner and he teaches you everything, and now you, when he's not there, you're supervising grown people because you've been there so much and you know everything to do. So I thought that was pretty phenomenal. His dad worked as an oven man and he fell under the wings of the owner, which was a black Greek, and I want to get some pictures, so I thought that was pretty phenomenal. And I started typing and writing, and then July 4th he didn't feel well, and then according to his daughter, I'm not going to say her name, right? No, it begins with an R. Well, he only has one daughter and then one son. Both of their names start with an R, right? And she told me on the 13th of July, after I broke fast, because I told her I was going to go into praying and fasting for 3 days, but I only made it 2 days, and I ate on the second day. I went to Hurricane and got a big plate of rice, beans, and meat. And I saw Chris from the code enforcement, Chris Freeman, there, and he was asking me, how's the guy that you were living with or something, he asked me, and I said, I don't know, I haven't checked on him. So I was getting the plate. I already broke fast. I was already emotionally feeling bad. I got back to Lawrence's house. That's where I was temporarily staying, which is like a block or two up from my house. My children would come there every day, bathe if they needed to. I would prepare meals. They walked the meals back down because I was having problems with my brother. My brother's still alive. I have a hard time saying what actually happened, but, well, he was trying to get physical with me. There's domestic violence on the books, so I guess it's okay to say that. Between him and my nephew, not me. I never called when he did the things to me. I'm not heavily into depending on the police because I don't ever have success. It's like I'm calling, I've been hurt, but they always find a way to turn it around and it be against me instead of in my favor. And I shouldn't say always. Whenever you use an absolute, that's incorrect. But it's happened too many times for me to feel comfortable to call. The last time my brother came, he hit the door with a wrench or something. And I got scared and I did call the police. They came. Because the tarot readers are saying some of these police are false. I don't know if it was real or not, but I did call them. And I didn't go to work for 2 weeks after that, because when he comes here, my girls are afraid. And so I sat around trying to make sure they were comforted. I really didn't see how a piece of paper called a restraining order was going to help that. So I stayed here, and that really hurt me financially, because if I don't work, I don't get paid. And if I don't get paid, I have nobody to help me pay bills. Well, I shouldn't say nobody. Johnny has been helping me here and there with bills, a partial bill anyway. Baby daddies, they don't do it. One's a plumber. Well, I don't even want to go down that. Y'all, I'm not even going into that. So let me see if I can go back and find what I was originally saying. I veer off a lot because there's a lot of hurt in my heart, and I'm completely confused by what's all happening to me. And I want it to be over, and I want my resources. I was saying I thought that Lawrence would have left me something.
What did you say?
He was going to actually buy me a Maserati the next year. But there was a lot of people who seemed like they were jealous or against us being together, and they made it really hard. We weren't together long, but everybody in his immediate area seemed to not be all that happy about it. I couldn't tell. Miss Davis might have been okay with it. She seemed like she was okay, at least in word. But she was the person that I left to go to the yard sale with the day that I came back, and he wasn't feeling good. So
this is supposed to be like a
that threw me off. In my soul, I kept hearing, I'm going to say hearing God say, don't go, don't go, don't go. And he kept saying, go with her, go with her, go with her, and insisting that I go with her. This was the 4th of July in 2020. It was a Saturday. And I didn't want to go with her. I kept saying no, no, and he kept telling me yes. So that day, everything changed. Somebody must have brought something. I always thought that Letitia recorded our conversations and she let him hear our conversation. That Thursday, I came back and I said to him, I talked to Letitia today, so it's going to be some mess to break out, because that's the way it happens. Whenever I talk to her, I always lose something after that. So I knew it was going to be something, but I was telling her, hey, I'm going to be able to pay you the rest of the money I owe you for giving me the money to pay for the back taxes on 2212 East Mallory. She paid the taxes on that piece of property, and it allowed me to have a place to give birth to my last child, Abby. That was June 14th. And I was originally supposed to rent the rooms out, the other 2 rooms out, and pay her back. But only men called, and I was afraid to live in the house with my newborn baby, my 3-year-old, myself, and some men. So we didn't think that through very well, and it didn't work either. So she was really upset about me not having paid her back in such a long time. And I understood that. Most of the people that know me knows that I believe you should raise your own children. And I did that. The last 2 I gave birth to in the bathroom. I picked them up, put them to my breast. And they know me. Angola went to the daycare for maybe a month or 2 when we lived with Tia and John over in Tampa Park. Not for long. And Abby's never been in daycare. So that was my philosophy. And when you live a life like that and you don't have a husband who's the primary breadwinner, you can imagine it's a pretty hard life. So that's why I was constantly at the flea market trying to sell my wares or help somebody pack up or take their things out, trading merchandise for merchandise, merchandise for labor. And we've had a pretty rough existence, but we're here. Everybody is in good health, and we're thankful to be alive. So I was telling her I was helping Lawrence to recover funds that were owed him, and he had agreed to give me 50% of everything that I collected. So I was going to be able to pay her. And as soon as I told her that on that Thursday, I'm pretty sure it was the next Saturday, that everything broke out. So I always believed it was her
What you doing?
over to his house, letting him listen to recordings that changed things. I can't confirm that. So the 4th of July, when I got back, he said he wasn't feeling well. The next door neighbor was calling him, telling him he better go to the doctor. He better go to the doctor. He had me make an appointment. I took him to the doctor. The doctor had me leave the room because I wasn't family, told him something. And I think that night I took him to the hospital. They said he had COVID. He returned back. The only thing they gave him was a blood thinner, no antibiotics, no CPAP machine, no assisted breathing. Well, they gave him oxygen, but nothing to put pressure against his lungs to force the oxygen into the lungs, right? We picked up the blood thinner. He took the blood thinner. He still wasn't feeling well. Let's see, I'm trying to remember this. I have it written down, but I'm trying to remember. He went to the hospital, stayed some days. I was taking him his Bible. I met Rita again because she came for Father's Day. And this was the second time I saw her. She was asking me why was I driving her father's car.
I was just saying, give me a second.
I didn't take the Bible in. Okay, cool. They were saying I couldn't go in. She went in. See, this is going to be long because I'm rolling around in my brains. He came back to the house. I can't remember what day. I remember it was a Sunday when the home health guy, Adam, came. Checked all of his vitals. Everything was good. His sugar was a little high, but his O2 stat was 51%. So that was alarming. They said he had to go back to the hospital. I said, listen, put him on straight oxygen, the oxygen tank. They put him on the oxygen tank. The O2 saturation started to go up a lot. And I don't know why I don't trust those machines. My dad had a hard time staying up with his O2 saturation level with those machines. And I really should have requested that he be on straight oxygen, the oxygen tanks only. He probably would have fared better. But they took him back to the hospital, and I never saw him again. They wouldn't let me come to the hospital, to the COVID unit. That was during you drop your people off and you don't go in with them. You can't come visit them. That's what they told me anyway. And I called after leaving Hurricane, after talking with Chris Freeman, and she told me my dad died on the 13th. And I just hung up the phone. I couldn't believe it. It's just like every time I pray and ask God for help, like when he sends me help, and we were helping each other, but it was nice to have somebody who understood me, understood my vision. When I shared my vision, it didn't seem like poppycock. I talk to people now and they're looking like, well, you kind of old for that, ain't you? You think you're going to get that done before you die? You know, they're naysayers. They don't have vision. They don't believe that it's possible. And Lawrence wasn't like that. He was like, oh, wow, that sounds great. Just always excited and happy and thankful. And that was refreshing. And it's so unfortunate that I didn't know he was 2 blocks away from me all this time. So that was that. Other people might have left me money. I think my mom left me more money than I actually got. Now that my brother, I know my brother to be a person who practices fraud, I am going back and doubting everything he's ever told me, especially about the house. So I want to see the will. I want to see if the will he showed me and took back from me, wouldn't even let me keep a copy, is actually the real will. Because my mom might have gave me 6010 North 32nd Street. She might have gave Ava, 1316 Kill Place, the Valrico house.
Never mind, I already hate this.
We
game.
don't
I
know
already
what the truth is. There might have been another insurance policy. There was a policy in unclaimed funds, and I called and had them send me a claim form. And it was for my dad, Arthur L. Atkins, or Arthur Lee Atkins. And I'm pretty sure I would have been the beneficiary on that policy. He and I were living here at 6010 North 32nd Street together at that time. And that was after I left my position. Well, my position at the University of South Florida coordinator position was abolished, and I decided not to take another position on campus.
Someone added me?
They offered me a position at USF Radio, and it was like a $10,000 pay cut. And I had been praying and asking God to bring me home to be a homekeeper.
Thank you so much.
Arlene Rippey and Elizabeth Elliott were the two women that I listened to all the time that were really helpful to me. And there was a lady that I worked with by the name of Maxine Logan. I see her as an angel because she kept talking to me about being a woman of God and having high standards, and she helped me to get myself out of a real bad situation back in my late 20s, I would say. So
I'm not playing music.
Thank you, Maxine. I really appreciate your powerful belief in God. So back to, closing up on this topic. Listening to the tarot readers, they're saying that a doppelganger has signed papers and collected the insurance policies that were available to me, that were for me. And the doppelganger has married somebody to give them citizenship.
Yeah.
And what else has the doppelganger done? She does drugs and she prostitutes, but it's recorded that it's me, right? Anybody who pretty much knows me knows I'm pretty much straight-laced and a little bit prudish. I mean, I have children, so I had to have some sex, right? In my younger years, I had a lot of it, but mostly with the same person. I didn't get too out of control. I love dancing, so I danced a lot. But when you look at me now, I look like somebody that does drugs. I mean, it's like the reason I believe in black magic and tarot readings and tarot and energy manipulation is because when I look at in the mirror and look at myself, it's like I'm a shell of myself. And I keep saying, what happened to me? What happened? And as I'm learning about black magic and energy manipulation, people can suck your energy from you. People can manipulate your energy. They can do cloaking spells. They can do beauty spells to make you ugly, to make you fat, to make you skinny, to make you lose your hair. Now, I think I lost my teeth with the twins. It happened shortly after the twins. I'm Rh negative and I didn't take the ROGAM. So there's something called sensitivity D that really disturbs your liver. And I contribute all of that to be the reason that shortly after giving birth to the twins, my teeth started crumbling and just falling out. Now, I didn't really have great dental hygiene before that, but I had teeth, and I used to go to Dr. Levine over on 56th Street when I was working at the University of South Florida, and I had full coverage insurance. It was pretty pricey, but I paid for it. The little pieces that I needed to pay. Now, I wanted to say something about my teeth. Oh, I was a vegetarian with the twins. I was a vegetarian, and I probably was not getting enough calcium. I would go to the health food store and buy the Floridex to make sure I wasn't anemic. And I would buy Rainbow Light. That was my favorite prenatal vitamin. I got the Rainbow Light prenatal vitamins, and I used to buy the Blue Bonnet liquid calcium. But if I was short on money, I would go to the 50% off table in the back and buy just straight calcium. What I did not know is that if you don't have the magnesium in combination with the calcium, your body doesn't absorb the calcium. So I had a lump right here. I'm trying to flex. It's almost where that little mosquito bite is, right there. And it was a big lump. So I asked the doctor, and he said that was calcium. The calcium collected there, and it wasn't being absorbed by my bones. So the babies took the calcium from my bones, right? And if there wasn't enough, then I was left lacking. Now, a moon was 6 pounds 7 ounces. A set was 4 pounds 7 ounces. One was 19 inches long? The girl baby. She was the smallest. And he was 21 inches long. I think she was either 17 or 19 inches long. I can't remember. I gave birth at Morton Plant Mease Hospital in Clearwater Beach, because I was dropped by Carla, my midwife, over at St. Joseph. There was a midwifery hospital program where you could give birth like you were in a home setting with a midwife, as long as you were healthy. So after I talked to them and told them I wanted my placentas, they dropped me. I was supposed to go that next week and sign the papers to say I want my placentas and I want to bring them home. So they dropped me. I was like 8 months pregnant, ready to like drop at any moment, right? They say I gave birth at 36 weeks, and I had to scramble to try to find another place. I was going to go out of town and give birth somewhere else, because during my years of activism, I made a lot of, I would say, enemies. I exposed a lot of corruption. I spoke against a lot of politicians, and I didn't feel comfortable giving birth in Hillsborough County. I felt like they would try to pay me back by killing my children and possibly me. So I had decided after, I don't know when I decided. I never decided to go to the hospital, but my mom kept begging me, please, please, please. So against my better judgment, I applied for Medicaid, Medicare. I was a high-risk pregnancy. I was supposed to be getting the financial benefits, and they didn't do it. They wouldn't give it to me, and I thought that was all political because of my activism. And I struggled through the pregnancy. When I found the midwifery program, I thought, okay, cool. But it was just a strain the whole way through, because I was a naturopath, and I was not for a lot of the things that they wanted to do to me, and a lot of things they wanted to do to the babies. The NICU form really set me off, because it was like, oh, if we damage your baby neurologically, or babies in my case, you can't sue us, and we'll give you $10,000 for the dead baby, I guess. I was like, wait a minute. This is freaking me out. You don't plan on harming my children, do you? I felt like they might have. And as I talked with them and shared my concerns, they seemed to just, their facial expression said, problem child. So when they dropped me, I was shocked and not shocked. So to shorten the whole long story, I ended up going to Morton Plant Mease. My child at that time was 15, drove me over to Clearwater, and that's when all hell broke loose. I was requesting natural childbirth, and they were telling me that the boy twin was coming footling breech, and you're gonna have to do a C-section. I was like, you absolutely cannot and will not cut me. And they were saying, well, if we don't cut you, you're all gonna die. Well, that sounded like a lie. So I said, okay, let me go in the bathroom. I ran warm water in the tub to sit in the tub to try to change the position of the footling breech baby. Expected my midwife to help me. She was no help. And I tried some of the things that I learned in Ina Gaskin's book. Can't remember the name of the book, but there's a book by Ina, I-N-A Gaskin, Gaskin. Yeah. And they created a community called The Farm. And these women, primarily couples too, some single women, some couples, lived in buses. They gutted the buses out and made them into little efficiencies, really. And that way you could live there and basically take care of your children and have minimal financial overhead. Prior to that, when I was with one of the could-be daddies, he was into Hebrew Israelite, and he turned me on to Benami's farm in Israel. Let me see, where was it? It was in another country, and you could go there for $250 a month, and they grew all of the foods, and they gave you the